All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into the vast, ancient, and, well, surprisingly powerful world of algae. Okay, let's just start with a number. A number that might actually surprise you, 50%. Yup, that's right, these tiny, tiny organisms. A lot of them are smaller than a speck of dust. They're responsible for pretty much every other breath you take. Think about that for a second. It's kind of incredible, right? Half of the oxygen on our entire planet comes from something most of us barely even notice. So, what are these things? These organisms that are so vital to our survival? Okay, let's get into it. You know, when you hear algae, you might just think of pond scum, but they're this incredibly diverse kingdom of life, and they're all defined by one key skill, photosynthesis. Now, here's the thing. They're not plants, they're not animals, and they're not fungi either. Nope, they belong to this whole other group called protists, which really makes them unique. And get this, their family tree is one of the oldest on the entire planet. It splits into these two huge fundamental branches that, well, they pretty much tell the story of life itself. So on one side, you've got the prokaryotes. These are really simple cells, no nucleus, and the classic example is the ancient cyanobacteria. Then on the other side, you have the eukaryotes. These are way more complex. They have cells with a nucleus, kind of like our own cells do. And this group, this includes that huge array of green, red, and brown algae. You know, the stuff you'd actually recognize from a trip to the beach. And listen, these things aren't just ancient. They are literal planetary engineers. I mean, the cyanobacteria, they showed up about 2.7 billion years ago and just started pumping oxygen into the atmosphere. They completely transformed our world from this toxic mess into the air we all breathe today. And we have proof. We've got fossil evidence, like these 1.4 billion-year-old stromatolites you're looking at, which are basically layered rocks built by these exact same organisms. So with a family tree that old, it's no surprise they've developed this incredible diversity of forms and, well, survival strategies. Let's check out some of that variety. Okay, so on one end of the spectrum, you've got algae that form these long, simple chains of cells. They just kind of drift through the ocean. Super basic design, right? But it's incredibly effective, and they are everywhere. And then you have the complete opposite. What you're seeing here, that's not a plant. It's a massive brown alga called a sea palm. These things are giants. They grow into these big, complex structures that are tough enough to get hammered by ocean waves all day. And they create entire underwater ecosystems. We're talking about those famous kelp forests that are just teeming with life. All right, let's zoom way back down to the microscopic level. This right here, that's a single cell of euglena. But just look at all the stuff going on inside. It's got a nucleus, it's got chloroplasts for photosynthesis, it can even move around on its own. It is a self-contained little marvel of biological engineering. Just amazing. And that brings us to one of the most amazing groups of all, the diatoms. These are microscopic powerhouses that do something just incredible. They build these super intricate protective shells for themselves out of silica. You know, the main ingredient in glass. So they are literally living inside these tiny ornate glass houses. I mean, just look at the sheer artistry here. This is a close-up of one of those silica shells. Every single one of the thousands of species has its own unique geometric pattern. They're like these tiny living jewels. It's really a testament to how intricate nature's design can be. So, trying to make sense of all this incredible diversity, to catalog it all, that's the work of a scientific field called phycology. Basically, the study of algae. And a lot of our modern understanding of how to classify them, well, it comes from figures like Adolf Pascher. He was considered one of the most influential phycologists of his day. But, you know, scientific history isn't always simple, and the source material for this explainer makes that clear. Pascher's huge scientific legacy is tangled up with his involvement in the Nazi administration. It's a powerful reminder that science is, at the end of the day, a human endeavor. And, funnily enough, that same kind of complexity is mirrored in the algae themselves. Yeah, this complexity really extends to how algae impact the world. They play this kind of dual role. They're both builders and poisoners. Okay, let's talk about the builder part. As builders, they are absolutely foundational to life as we know it. They make the air we breathe, they fix nitrogen from the atmosphere so other organisms can use it, and they form the very bottom of almost every single aquatic food web. Heck, even the oil we use for energy today can be traced back to these massive ancient algal blooms that got buried millions and millions of years ago. But that's only one side of the coin. Some algae have a much, much darker and more dangerous side. And this slide just illustrates that paradox perfectly. So on the left, there's that beautiful jewel-like diatom we were just looking at. But on the right, that's the chemical structure of domoic acid. It's a really potent neurotoxin that same diatom can produce. The toxin builds up in shellfish, and if humans eat them, it can cause something called amnesic shellfish poisoning, a really serious illness that can actually cause memory loss. And here's the kicker. When these algae reproduce like crazy, creating what's called a bloom or a red tide, they can release enough of these toxins to cause massive fish kills. It can make entire shellfish harvests poisonous, which can be devastating for both the ecosystem and, of course, local economies. So you have this dual nature, right? They're both a life giver and a potential threat. And that puts algae right at the center of some really critical questions about our planet's future. Because they're so good absorbing carbon dioxide, some scientists have even proposed using them for large-scale geoengineering. The whole idea is to basically fertilize huge parts of the ocean with iron, which would trigger a massive algal bloom, a bloom that would suck enormous amounts of CO2 right out of the atmosphere. This quote here really captures both the incredible scale and, let's be honest, the potential risks of an idea like that. So, from the air we breathe, to the food webs they hold up, to the very climate we're changing, these tiny organisms hold just immense power. They were the architects of our planet's breathable past, which really leaves us wondering, what role are they going to play in the chapter that's yet to be written?